Let's talk about energy vampires today. What is an energy vampire? It's someone who literally sucks energy from you. It can be emotional, spiritual, or mental. Now, we all have periods of trauma or drama or when we want to reach out to a friend and unload or get their feedback. But are you attracting people who do that to you all the time? Like, are you an unconscious empath who, like a light, draws in dark? Okay, let's get back to the original thing. What made me think about this today is that I read a post recently on a mommy website, and the woman was writing in to say that she's divorced and her college-aged child was coming home to visit and really didn't want to stay with her and no longer text as often as they used to and didn't really communicate. And she was feeling drained and hurt. On the one hand, I obviously don't know this person and I'm just using it as an example. But on the one hand, this is a mom who's aching for her role and her identity to continue as mother, and the hard transition between helping and allowing your child to grow and individuate, for them to explore their personality and actually learn in a new environment, and having all of that autonomy and then wanting to take it back when they come home to visit. I don't know her rules or regulations, but from the tone of her email, she wanted things to go back to the way they were before her daughter left for school. And in my intuitive abilities, what I was reading is that she is very enmeshed in her daughter's life, and that some of her identity, besides being mother, is that child's, what she thinks is protector, is what she also sees as having an impact in her life, and without her guidance or without her say-so, or who is she if she's not being needed by her child, right? Like that was a very important role, as it is for any parent, but there's also degrees of it. The post also talks about going through a divorce and how the daughter now really wants to be with the father, and how hurt she is by that. Again, she didn't go into the details of what happened in her divorce, but I found it super interesting that that was part of what's going on. And I could also say, like, as a daughter of divorced parents, although mine did it much older, you are always torn between, as the child, who to spend time with. Am I spending equal time with them? Am I hurting one or the other if I do X, Y, and Z with one, but not the other? That's the inner turmoil for a child. Also, a child in college might be learning more about the actual character of the parent. Like, you're no longer just looking up to mom and dad. You're no longer really needing them to protect and love and direct you in your life as much as you get older, right? But so she might be pushing back because she might have learned something, the child, about her mother she didn't like. Lord knows I learned things about my parents as I grew up, and it was really that they were human and they made really human mistakes, and that was hard for me to process. I was resentful and dumbfounded, and I was really hurt to learn things and understand things about my parents' relationship that as a younger person I didn't. So I kind of feel like my intuitive hit off of just a post in a social media place without names and without revealing anyone is that this daughter is just learning who her parents are, and her mom's energy felt really leaky. And by leaky, I meant that she just like oozed her emotions all over her kid, and her making her child responsible for the parent's emotional well-being. Again, this can happen if you are an empath and you don't know you are, or if you are someone who've got big mother wounds or big wounds about needing to be seen, and then finding a way that you like to be seen, and then that being taken away. And so your identity is shifting in who you are and the sources of your definition of self are leaving, and that can really hurt. So I have both empathy for this mother and child who are trying to navigate this new emotional shift, and hopefully are raising a vibration for both of them. But really, the biggest hit I got about the mother was that she was emotionally needy and she was making her child responsible for her emotional well-being, right? You might see sometimes boy moms are like this, where they make their son, especially after a divorce, they make their son responsible for being the man in their life. And that's just really not the way it's supposed to be. As a parent, we're supposed to raise our children to become adults, humans who can process their feelings, who can get past outrage and hurt and those first trigger points and come to terms with what's going on, so then they can make better choices and impact the world and make the world better. Because right now we all know it's a bit of a shit show, right? So right now I'm also seeing out in humanity, like everyone is stuck in a pain point. I am right, you are wrong, I'll show you, I'll scream at you. And all I see energetically is pain, not being seen or heard. But there's more to it, because if we make our children's emotion the most important thing, then they're not learning to process them. And so maybe you don't know how to process them as the parent, right? So what I mean is, oh my God, I'm so hurt and I'm afraid of this outcome and it's not fair and I feel like you're being prejudiced towards me, and you could scream about it. But in reality, you have to go, what is that fear about? Why do I have that fear? Is it real or is it manufactured? And then you have to dig deep. What does that fear say about me? Am I in an unsafe place? Should I make a change? Or is it time to confront something or have a conversation, right? Because people don't really have conversations anymore. Face to face, it's really rare. It's hard to find. So after you sort through all of that, of the thoughts, I'm hearing the words of injustice, there's probably a little history that is okay to explore. It's okay to listen to people you don't agree with. You might find that you do agree on other things. You might realize this is not a person I want to have in my life. It's also possible to disagree and still be friends. But we've really, as a society, moved away from, okay, you're outraged and you're screaming, and then what? Then you have these feelings. And just because you have the feeling, it doesn't mean that you have the right to inflict your wound onto other people. And that's like the crux of it. I kind of felt when I was reading that blog post, that social media post about the mom and her daughter, her child, was that I have a need to mother and be seen, and I need you to see me, and I need you to show up for me because I miss you. And then when you walk into a space when all those expectations, those emotions, those tethers latch onto you, it's not a warm and inviting space. It feels intrusive, it feels heavy, it can feel like, oh my God, what do you want from me? I don't want it to be like this. I don't want to be who I was. Does that make sense? If this is making sense, give me a yay or a thumbs up in the comments. But learning to cope with your own emotions, learning to redefine who you are at this moment in time in your life, in this chapter, and then realizing the boundaries and the connections that are more appropriate to have with your family and friends is a really important life skill. And it's not something you conquer in one try. I remember the comment I left in the post was, have you tried having a conversation with your child? Have you asked them why they don't want to come home? Have you asked them what's going on with them emotionally? Right? Because it's not just about you. relationships have at least two people. So again, if you are having this empty nest feeling, or even having this push me, pull you with the people in your house who live under the same roof, intuitive energy can really help you shift that energy from a low vibration to a high vibration. It could take you out of seeing and experiencing the relationship from a wounded place to empower you, help you build boundaries and language about what you want and how you want it. And then you can make better choices. I hope you're having a great day. Like and follow for more.